All right, so welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going way back, like ancient Greece way back.
Ooh, sounds exciting.
Yeah, to this legendary city,
Yeah,
Corinth.
Corinth, okay.
Yeah, and I got this article here,
Cool.
and it dives deep into its history, and I think it's going to be super interesting.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, perfect. So, first thing that jumped out at me was this whole thing about location, 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 right?
Right.
Corinth was on this narrow strip of land
Oh.
called an isthmus.
Okay.
And basically, it was like a bridge between these two seas, the Aegean and Adriatic seas.
Wow.
It controlled, like, all the trade and the people moving through there.
That was a pretty important spot.
Yeah, super important.
Yeah, you can imagine.
Like the ancient world's superhighway intersection or something.
Exactly. They could avoid like this long and dangerous trip, around
Yeah.
the Peloponnese Peninsula
Mm-hmm.
by basically unloading their goods on one side,
Oh, smart.
transporting them overland, and then reloading onto different ships on the other side.
Wow, that's clever.
Can you imagine the advantage?
Yeah, huge.
That must have been so powerful.
Oh, incredibly wealthy and influential, for sure.
Exactly.
It wasn't just a bustling port, but like the ultimate middleman.
Right, controlling this major trade route.
Totally.
Yeah, and they also, developed this powerful navy,
Makes sense.
which was super essential back then.
Right.
Plus, they had this natural fortress,
Oh, wow.
a fortified hill overlooking the city called the Corinth.
Oh, that's a cool name.
Talk about built for commerce and defense.
The best of both worlds.
Right?
It makes you wonder, how far back does Corinth's story even go?
Well, this article, it mentions that it has roots all the way back to the Neolithic period.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And then by the Mycenaean age, the time of the Trojan War and like Agamemnon,
Oh, yeah, okay.
Corinth was already a significant settlement.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it really set the stage for their rise to power.
And of course, the myths and legends.
Right?
It was said to be founded by, get this, a figure named Corinthus.
No way, really.
Yeah. And there's even a tie-in to the Titan Atlas.
Oh, wow.
Adds a whole other layer to the story.
Definitely. Very intriguing.
So let's fast forward a little bit
Okay.
to what's called the Archaic period.
Gotcha.
And this is when Corinth really starts to rise in power.
Uh-huh.
They were establishing colonies all over the Mediterranean. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Places like Corcyra,
Oh, wow.
which is modern-day Corfu,
Okay.
and even Syracuse in Sicily.
They were busy.
Yeah, they were a major force for sure.
Definitely. This was like a period of expansion for a lot of those Greek city-states.
Right.
And Corinth, with all their naval power and that entrepreneurial spirit,
Yeah,
they were at the forefront.
totally.
And it wasn't just about spreading their influence.
Right.
They were bringing back all these new ideas and resources,
Oh, interesting.
further enriching Corinthian society.
Yeah, speaking of being rich,
Yeah.
their economy was booming.
Right.
And I love how the article talks about their craftsmanship,
Yeah.
especially their pottery.
Their pottery was beautiful.
Yeah, apparently it was like super sought after, like all across the ancient world.
Wow.
What made it so special, do you think?
Well, I think it was more than just functional,
Yeah.
Those Corinthian vases were incredibly well made
Okay.
and artistically sophisticated.
Eh.
Think of it as like the designer handbag of the ancient world.
Huh? Okay, I like that.
A real status symbol.
Got it.
And the fact that they were traded and treasured so widely really says something about their economic reach.
Yeah, totally.
The quality of their craftsmanship.
Right.
They weren't just churning out goods, they were creating art.
So we've got the booming economy, powerful navy, amazing location.
They had it all.
You really start to see why they were such a major player.
For sure.
But what about their politics? Were they always ruled by, like, kings, or was it more
No,
complicated?
it was definitely more complicated.
Oh.
They went through like a whole range of political systems.
Really?
Yeah, from aristocratic rule where just a small group of nobles held all the power
Okay.
to periods of tyranny where like a single person seized control.
Wow.
They even had a taste of democracy,
Oh, cool.
which was a pretty radical concept at the time.
Right. It's amazing to see how they were experimenting with these different forms of government, trying to figure out the best way to run their city.
Absolutely.
And then there's this mention of the Cypselid dynasty.
Right, right.
And they made some pretty big changes, right? Reforms to strengthen Corinth even more.
They did.
Do you think that's when things really took off for them?
Oh, for sure. They were ambitious, those Cypselids.
Okay.
They understood that they needed infrastructure and trade and even social programs, to keep everybody happy.
Yeah. Keep the people happy.
Exactly. And their reforms really solidified Corinth's position as a leading power.
Makes sense.
But, as with any powerful city-state in ancient Greece, conflict was never far away.
Oh, I bet.
Never far away.
Yeah.
Yeah, this article talks about all these wars they were involved in.
Yeah, like a lot of wars.
The Greco-Persian Wars, Peloponnesian War, even something called the Corinthian War.
Geez, it seems like they were always fighting.
It does, doesn't it?
What was their strategy? Like, were they just warmongers or?
Well, I think their motivations were complex and shifted, depending on what was going on politically at the time.
Right, right.
During the Greco-Persian Wars, they actually sided with the Persians.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which was like a controversial move,
Yeah, I bet.
Put them at odds with a lot of the other Greek city-states.
Interesting.
And I think, their economic interests and their fear of Athenian dominance.
Okay.
That probably played a big role in that decision.
It's weird to think that a city that, thrived on trade and cooperation would side with, the Persians?
I know, right?
Shows just how high the stakes were back then.
Absolutely. They were willing to risk a lot to protect their interests.
Totally. So then there's the Peloponnesian War.
Right, this massive conflict between Athens and Sparta.
Oh, yeah, I remember that from history class.
And Corinth was firmly in Sparta's camp.
Okay.
Which had, devastating consequences for everyone involved.
So much for Greek unity.
Right.
I guess it just shows that even back then, politics and power struggles could, completely override any shared identity or...
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then the Corinthian War...
Right.
Just emphasizes how important Corinth was strategically.
Oh, for sure.
They were constantly being pulled into these conflicts.
Always at the center of the storm.
Okay, so we've talked about their economy, their military. But this article also mentions their role in the rise of Christianity.
Yeah, that's a really interesting part of their story.
They were a key center for the early Christian movement.
They were.
Why do you think that was?
Well, I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, that Corinth was this cosmopolitan hub.
Right.
All these people from all over passing through.
Right. Different cultures, beliefs.
Exactly. It was a melting pot.
Perfect for new ideas to take root.
Totally. So it makes sense that a new religion like Christianity, with its message of universal love and salvation, would find a receptive audience there.
And we can't forget about the Apostle Paul.
Right.
He visited Corinth and even wrote those 2 letters to the Christian community there.
He did.
Those letters are still studied today.
They are. They're fascinating.
It's like a glimpse into the early days of Christianity.
Totally.
What kind of challenges were those early Christians facing?
Oh, all kinds of challenges.
Like what?
Well, in Paul's letters, he addresses theological disputes.
Okay.
Moral dilemmas, social pressures, even persecution.
Wow. It must have been tough.
It was. Not easy being a Christian in the Roman Empire.
Especially in a city like Corinth.
Right, with all its diversity
and everything going on. It makes you wonder how they did it,
I know.
How they spread their faith in such a complex environment.
It really speaks to their convictions,
Yeah.
And the appeal of their message.
Absolutely. And it's remarkable how these ancient texts
I know, right?
Still resonate with people today.
They do.
It's amazing.
Offering guidance and inspiration across, centuries and cultures.
That's incredible. Okay, so Corinth was this crucial place for the early Christians.
It was.
But ultimately, they couldn't escape the Roman Empire, could they?
No, they couldn't.
This article talks about the Roman conquest in 146 BC.
Right.
Devastating for the city.
It was a turning point for them.
In a bad way.
Yeah, they were defeated. The city was destroyed.
Oh, no.
And a lot of the inhabitants were enslaved.
That's awful.
It was a brutal reminder of Rome's power,
Yeah.
and how the Mediterranean was changing.
So that's it for Corinth, then? The end?
Well, not quite.
Oh.
There's a bit of a twist.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Julius Caesar, he decided to rebuild Corinth.
What? Really?
Yeah.
But what is this?
In 44 BC.
Wow.
As a Roman colony.
Okay.
So the city was revived and became this thriving center again.
Wow. Even the Romans recognized its importance.
They did. They understood how strategic that location was.
So even under Roman rule, Corinth's legacy continued.
It did, but it was different,
Oh, how so?
Well, it became more integrated into the Roman world.
Okay.
And lost some of its distinct Greek character.
Interesting.
Makes you wonder what the people of Corinth thought about it all.
I know, right?
Were they nostalgic for the past, or did they embrace this new Roman identity?
That's a good question. I mean, they were so independent for so long.
Exactly.
I guess it shows that even when faced with overwhelming power, people find a way to adapt and endure.
They find a way.
So we've seen Corinth at its height, its fall, war, peace, different religions, Roman rule.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is.
What about its lasting legacy, though? This article talks about how it influenced art, politics, religion, society.
Well, where do we even begin?
I don't know. It's a lot.
Let's start with architecture.
Okay, good place to start.
The Corinthian order, with its, ornate columns and that distinctive style.
Yeah.
It's influenced architecture for centuries.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can see echoes of it in, like, the Roman Pantheon.
Oh, wow.
And even modern buildings today.
So even today, we're still seeing the influence of ancient Corinth.
We are.
That's crazy.
And then there's their contribution to political thought, their experimentation with different forms of government.
Oh, right.
Tyranny, democracy.
Yeah.
Offers valuable insights into how those systems evolve.
It's a good reminder that democracy, wasn't just this given,
Right.
It was a long process.
Trial and error.
Yeah.
Cities like Corinth played a big role in shaping those ideas.
Absolutely. And we can't forget about their impact on religion. They helped shape the development of Christian theology and Paul's letters.
Still debated today.
It's amazing how relevant they still are.
I know.
With so many people.
It speaks to that human search for meaning, doesn't it?
It does. What about those Corinthian vases we talked about?
Oh, yeah, those beautiful vases.
Are they just pretty objects, or is there more to them?
Oh, there's definitely more to them.
Oh, okay. What do you mean?
They're like windows into the lives of the people who made them, used them.
Oh, that's cool.
Scenes they depict, the myths, the stories, the artistic styles.
Right.
All these details tell us about Corinthian culture, their values, their beliefs.
Wow, it's like holding a piece of history.
It is a tangible connection to this civilization from thousands of years ago.
So as we wrap up, it's clear that Corinth was more than just a city.
Oh, much more.
A dynamic hub of trade, culture.
A center of power.
And a place where new ideas flourished.
It's incredible how much one city contributed to history.
It makes you think about how we often talk about ancient Greece as this, big concept.
Right.
But it was really made up of all these individual city-states.
Exactly, each with its own story.
Like Corinth. It makes me wonder, if you could go back in time, what would you want to experience in ancient Corinth?
Oh, that's a tough one.
I know, right? There's so much.
I think maybe seeing the port,
Oh, yeah.
with all those ships arriving.
From all over.
Laden with goods.
To smell the spices, hear the languages.
All the different people.
I'd probably head straight to the markets.
Oh, the markets would be amazing.
Imagine all the stuff they had.
The energy.
Yeah.
The bartering.
Yeah, it would be incredible.
I'd want to try all the local food.
Right.
And get some souvenirs.
Though I don't know what they used for currency back then.
Yeah.
Maybe a beautiful Corinthian vase.
Good idea. But beyond the shopping, I'd want to see the Agora.
The heart of the city.
Where everything happened.
The debates, the discussion, the performances.
The pulse of Corinthian society.
You might even bump into Socrates.
You never know.
Or Plato having a debate.
Imagine that.
Or maybe a religious procession.
Right. Honoring one of their gods.
Or maybe even some early Christians talking about Paul's teachings.
It's amazing to think that all these different ideas and beliefs were coexisting in one place.
It really makes you appreciate how complex history is.
It does.
And how much we can learn from studying these ancient civilizations.
Absolutely.
It's not just about dates and names.
It's about understanding the people.
Their motivations, their challenge.
And their triumphs.
Yeah. So Corinth may be in ruins today.
Yeah.
But its legacy lives on.
In so many ways.
From architecture to democracy to religious thought.
It's a reminder that even empires crumble.
But ideas can last forever.
Exactly.
So next time you see a Corinthian column or read about Paul,
think about Corinth.
The city that embodies the dynamism and spirit of ancient Greece. Well, that's our deep dive into ancient Corinth. We hope you enjoyed this journey through time.
And learned something new.
If you're curious to learn more.
There's a whole world of ancient history out there.
Keep learning, keep exploring.
And maybe one day
you'll even visit those ancient ruins yourself.
It's an amazing experience.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it really is remarkable how much they accomplished.
Totally. It makes me wonder, if we could go back in time and visit, what would you want to see?
Ooh, tough question.
So much to see.
I think I'd be drawn to the port.
Oh, the port.
Yeah, with all the ships coming and going.
From all those different places.
Exactly. Laden with goods, you know.
To smell the spices and the sounds and the languages.
Imagine people from all over.
I think I'd go straight to the markets.
The markets?
Yeah, to see what they were selling.
Oh, that'd be incredible.
All those unique goods.
The energy, the bartering.
Yeah, I'd want to try the food.
And maybe pick up a souvenir.
Right. What did they even use as money, though?
Maybe we could trade a Corinthian vase.
Yeah, maybe. But beyond the shopping and the markets...
Yeah, beyond that...
I'd want to see the Agora.
The Agora.
The heart of the city.
All the action happened there.
The debates, discussions.
Performances, everything.
Yeah, like the true center of Corinthian life.
Absolutely.
You might even run into Socrates.
Socrates.
Or Plato. Having some philosophical debate.
To see that firsthand.
Or maybe, like, a religious procession for one of the gods. Or even, like, a group of early Christians.
Talking about their faith.
Yeah, discussing Paul's teachings.
It really is fascinating to think about all these different ideas and beliefs coexisting in one city.
Yeah, it makes you appreciate how complex history is.
It really does.
And how much we can learn by looking back at these ancient civilizations.
Absolutely.
It's more than just names and dates.
It's about the people.
Yeah, their stories.
Their struggles and triumphs.
So Corinth may be gone.
Yeah.
But its legacy lives on. From its influence on architecture to democracy.
Religion.
All of it. It's a good reminder that even though empires fall, the ideas, they can last forever.
They can. So next time you see a Corinthian column.
Or read about Paul.
Remember Corinth?
Yeah, remember the city that represents the spirit of ancient Greece.
Absolutely.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into ancient Corinth.
I hope you enjoyed it.
We hope you learned something new.
If this sparked your interest.
There's so much more to discover.
Keep learning, keep exploring.
And maybe even visit those ruins yourself someday.
Yeah, go see it firsthand.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.